Hey YouTube. It's been a while since I posted. I've been sort of searching for things to post, and I still haven't found anything of interest that hasn't been touched on already. There's plenty of videos around, about Soper and actor and all that, and I thought, well, there's no point in adding anything to that, because pretty much everyone's already been on top of that. U.S. elections, I can't even be bothered watching that. Um, But I want to talk about Ayrton Senna and Ayrton Senna's death. The reason I, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this year, Ayrton's nephew Bruno is going to be competing in Formula One, as a driver for Williams. It'll be the first time he's actually signed on to a team officially, not backing up the team because of a lost driver or whatever. And I found his choice to go to Williams quite interesting, considering his uncle died when he was driving for Williams. So only in his third race for Williams he died. But that's not what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about how Ayrton died and some of the theories I've heard on YouTube, and what I think personally. There's three main ones that stick out. One is absolutely ludicrous and it's just completely wrong. One is probable, but is possible but not probable, and the other I think is the most likely. The last one I'll mention is probably the most likely to have happened. The first one is that it's some stupid whack conspiracy theory that he was shot in the head before he hit the wall, and that was what created the puncture in his helmet. Well, there's already a problem with this. How do you shoot someone with a sniper rifle successfully, hitting them in the head when his head's moving around like so, his car's bumping around? How do you hit someone in the head that's moving like that? And also, where's the bullet? If a bullet did hit him, there'd be a bullet, but there's no bullet. The coroner stated in the autopsy that the head wound was caused by a suspension shaft that hit his head. I think that the bullet theory is absolutely whack. In response to those who are talking about the camera switching off, well, yeah, that is a bit sus, but remember, every time before a crash, generally speaking, the camera does shut off before a car hits a wall. It's actually quite a common thing in Formula One. If you look at Ayrton's 1988 crash in Monaco, I think it's 88. Yeah, I think it might be 88. He crashed into a wall in Monaco, and at the time of the crash, the camera was on his onboard thing, and then it cuts out before he hits the wall. And so, I don't think that that's a rare occurrence in Formula One. So anyway, that theory is absolutely bullshit. I can't even begin to describe how badly thought out that actually is. The second theory, which was brought up mainly by Williams in Formula One, is that the track was the cause of the accident. More specifically, as you may know, there was a crash right at the very beginning of the race, and that caused the safety car to come out. And so they went around 4 laps with this, following the safety car while everything was cleaned up, and on the 5th lap, they were let go. And he crashed at the beginning of his 7th lap, going around the first corner, which is called Tamburello. And the theory goes that because the tyres were so cold from not being hot enough, the ride height was reduced enough so that when he went over the bumps on the approach to Tamburello, the back part of his car stepped out. He reacted by turning sharply to the right, and then the car completely lost front wheel traction for some reason or another. That's why we see sparks coming out of the back of the car, they said. And he just slid off the road. There's already a problem with this. If that was true, you would assume that anyone in that situation, and they did say that the telemetry showed, they claimed that the telemetry showed that the steering wheel was intact and that he was registering a left twisting force like so to the turning to the left. Well, if that was so, then if you look at the video, you can see clearly the moment that he goes off the road, the wheels reset to center and they stay that way. So any movement of the steering wheel was obviously not being registered because it had broken. Which brings me to the actual theory that is the only theory in my mind that stacks up and fits all the points. And see, he might have lost traction and he might have slid off, but had his steering wheel not broken, he would have been able to steer the car away from the wall. You see what I mean? Instead he careered straight into the wall because he had no steering. If you watch the video, you will see that on the approach to the wall, the wheels are facing forward. There is no turning motion in the wheels. And in the last frame available to us that we see when he's in his car, he appears to be looking down at the steering wheel because his head is, the whole time, the laps beforehand and that, his head is always up like so. But as just before the crash, he suddenly does this, which tells me that perhaps the steering column broke then. The whole thing came away. He looked down, so he slammed on the brake. That's just the way I think about it. I think he was beyond unfortunate, and he really shouldn't have died that day. There was a lot of people, specifically Patrick Head and Adrian Newey, that they were found guilty of manslaughter. Well, at least of being responsible for his death. And it's a shame that they didn't go to jail and they didn't get properly punished for what they did. So anyway, what do you all think? Theories, ideas, jumble. No one actually watches these videos, so whatever. Hopefully, the name Ayrton Senna will get some views. So yeah, that's about it.